to complete the third lap of 4. 1 to go. The bell ring, they all know what they've got to do. A total of 20 Ks on 2 wheels, so 5 Ks to ride around the park. And we'll get a check on the timing between that leading group and the chasing group, which includes Jonathan and Tom Bishop.
Interesting to see the French athlete Aurélien Raphael really not doing too much work at the front, sitting at the back, and I guess, you know, everyone works to their own strengths and weaknesses, and perhaps Aurélien thinking, well, you know, I worked hard on the swim, I did my little bit there, I worked hard on the first lap of the bike to make sure we had the break. Now it's my turn to sit back and just see if they're going to work their legs out, and that gives me an opportunity to break through this time.
Quite a lot of spray coming off the blue carpet as this massive group comes through. Now we head back to the front of the race. 29, Aaron Royal from Australia, taking his turn to make the running. Alistair is wearing number 6 today. He's not far off. You can see him with a white helmet to the right of that pack, and this is the Jonathan Brownlee group. They made up a little bit of time, maybe a couple of seconds.
We're going to go into transition 1.5 minutes down. It's not a 10K. It's not Gwen Jorgensen with that ability to take a huge amount of time out on the 5 kilometers. That'll be very, very tough to catch anybody from that front group. You've got to say in the front group, credit to Aaron Royal, because very often we cut back to see them, and it's Aaron Royal at the front doing a huge amount of work, and Alistair Brown is going to be very, very grateful for that, I'm sure.
So now the leaders are on their way up towards Hyde Park Corner, where 6 London streets converge. Park Lane from the north, Piccadilly from the northeast, Constitution Hill up from the Palace, Grosvenor Place, Grosvenor Crescent, and of course Knightsbridge from the west. Hyde Park Corner was a focal part of the Olympic triathlon in 2012. That's where they exited the park and headed down towards Buckingham Palace. But for this final Hyde Park World Triathlon Series race, they're staying very much within the confines of the Royal Park, coming over the Serpentine Bridge now, which splits the Serpentine, divides the park in half. It marks the boundary between Hyde Park and Kensington Gardens.
Well, confirmed that Mario Moda is in the second group, 45 seconds down, and as good a runner as he is he going to be able to outrun Alistair Brownlee by 45 seconds? Unlikely. It may well be that he may see inroads on some of the athletes in the first group. Alistair Brownlee in a great position. He's worked hard. He's done more than his fair share. But there's some good guys out there, and they're working hard. They need to stay away. I think London has become one of the prestige events on the WTS Series races. Everybody wants to do here, and I think with Alistair and with Johnny, there was something to prove. You know, sprint distance, a little bit doubtful. Last year didn't work out for them. They both wanted it. It hasn't worked for Johnny, but the elder brother is up there, and he really does have the bit between his teeth.
Alistair has only taken part in 2 races this season. He won the first of them in Cape Town and was runner-up to Gomez after that sprint finish in Yokohama. But this race on home turf, where he won his Olympic crown in 2012, is playing right into his hands. All he's got to do is stay out of trouble. He's 45 seconds clear of potentially the next best runner in the race, Mario Moda, and he's more than 1.5 minutes clear, or about 1.5 minutes clear, I should say, of his younger brother. So now they're going single file on the driest part of the road.
Still got a huge speed up there at the front. No backing off whatsoever. They're very aware of what's going on behind them. They need to stay away. It's Fernando Alaza in a good position at the moment. There's that consistency there. Is this the one where he breaks through? He's done a lot of work, but he's also taken the opportunity to just sit back, rest his legs out a little bit. You look through them, and there's no Mola there. There's no Richard Murray there in the lead group. It is playing into Alistair Brownlee's hands, but we mustn't anticipate too much too soon, because we've seen what can happen. An accident occurs, a little bit of misadventure, stuff happens, you have to deal with it.
Getting a bit of picture breakup again. They're travelling at 50 kilometers per hour plus. They are expected to run at around 22 kilometers per hour over the 5K course, which will complete this sprint event, with the women's race yet to come this afternoon, featuring a non-Stanford who won the World Championship title here 2 years ago, and of course the American who's been unbeatable in the last 9 races in which she's competed, Gwen Jorgensen. Could be a battle between Jorgensen and Stanford in the women's race this afternoon. They have less than 1K to ride at the front of the field. They're starting to think about transition. You'll see the men reach down with their hands and rip off the Velcro straps which keep their feet in the shoes. Just as they get towards transition, so with a couple of 100 meters to go, they'll pull their feet out of the shoes, rest them on top. In fact, you saw a couple of them are doing that already, with a view to getting off exactly at the dismount line. Dismount line, there will be judges there, and they'll be keeping a close eye. Remember, that's where Johnny Brownlee got his 15-second penalty during the Olympic triathlon in 2012. Had to stop and stand still during the run because he'd missed the dismount line by a few centimeters. Still did enough to take the bronze, of course, but it might have been the silver otherwise. So after 35 minutes and 12 seconds of the London World Triathlon Series event, the guys are almost done on 2 wheels, with a 5K run to come. The blue carpet that signals the arrival of transition is approaching, and now Alistair in the white helmet wearing number 3 is looking around. He's got boxed in there, but he'll be trying to find a way out so he can arrive cleanly into transition. There's the dismount line, the 2 judges with the red flags. That's over, the ride is done, and now they're barefoot again, heading towards their positions to park the bikes and hopefully, as far as Alistair is concerned, get in and out of transition quickly. Alaza of Spain, Raphael of France, the other Frenchman, Vincent Louis, Schoeman's ridden well. Alistair's arrived in his parking space in transition. Got to get his helmet off. 1 or 2 of them leaving. Alistair's quick in and out of transition, and he exits in about 3rd position and immediately moves it up through the gears. He's already reached race pace. A massive group arriving behind. That group does not contain Jonathan Brownlee, and this huge group arriving in 2nd place, if you like, in transition, of 40 seconds off the lead. So this group contains Mario Mola. He will hope to carve his way up through the field, and maybe there's Mola in the red and blue of Spain, coming towards his position, wearing number 1. Mola will hope to get a clean transition, and then he'll get down to work in his specialist area, the 5K run. He likes the sprint distances. He won over the sprint distance here in Hyde Park 12 months ago, but he's struggling with one of his shoes, and the rest of them have left him behind. Mola was first into transition and effectively last out.
You can't plan for anything at all, can you, Matt? We're looking at Alistair Brownlee getting bunched going into transition. He made an absolutely brilliant recovery there. Came out in 4th, 5th position, and then we see some of the other favourites when you think they've got an opportunity to do something, and it just doesn't happen. So Vincent Louis leading at the moment. Alistair Brownlee, he's going to be absolutely delighted to be where he is. He's taken a group out. We've got a flashback now.
Jonathan's in transition, long way behind the leaders, but he will hope to restore some pride and maybe make up a few places. He can certainly still effectively potentially get in the top 10. A top 10 is not out of the question for Jonathan Brownlee, but he's got a lot of work to do. Meanwhile, older brother Alistair is just taking his time to settle with Tony Dodds of New Zealand and Vincent Louis of France. New Zealand versus England here at the front, and of course New Zealand are playing cricket against New Zealand up in Alistair's hometown of Leeds this weekend. So we've got a bit of a battle between these 2 at the front, with the Frenchman and Bailey of Australia also in this quartet. 1 or 2 others struggling with the early pace.
Well, Tony Dodds has made a huge statement there. We've got more used to seeing Tony. Maybe he's just sitting in for a bit, coming from behind. He's not gone for that at all this time, has he? He's come out of transition. He's looked over at Bailey. He's looked over at Royal. He's seen Alistair Brownlee there, and he's thinking, maybe if I can force it up, I need to get in the front pack. I'm not sure if he's trying to get away from them, but what he wants to do is to put himself in a position to be able to go with the fastest runners in here, so at least he gives himself a chance of getting on the podium.
Oh, it's a brisk old pace that Tony Dodds is pushing here at the front of the field, and already they're starting to spread. Some of the good swimmers, including Henry Schoeman, left of screen, who was the first man out of the water. Now he's been found out, managed to stay with the leaders on two wheels, but when it comes to the 5K ride, Schoeman's race is run. Aurelien Raphael, another one of the good swimmers, now going backwards. Dodds is there, Luis is there, Brownlee is in third position at this stage, and Bailey of Australia with them as well. I think there's one guy behind. Who's that? The fifth member of this front group. It's Salvesberg of Switzerland.
Wow. Tony Dodds making an emphatic statement. He's still got there, he's still in the lead. I don't think it's a question of Alistair Brownlee not wanting to take the lead. He's just not able to at the moment because Dodds has forced it so much. Now, is this going to be a huge breakthrough for him, or is he going to pay the price as we go through? It's only 5 kilometres, of course, not the 10 kilometres, and perhaps he thinks this is a chance. He'll put himself on the line, he'll go to suffer and see if he can burn off. He just needs to burn off a couple of these guys and he's going to be on the podium.
Dodds has had a couple of top 15 finishes on the World Triathlon Series so far in 2015, but nothing to suggest that he will trouble Alistair Brownlee and possibly Vincent Luis, who was second behind Mario Mola in Abu Dhabi at the start of the campaign. I would say potentially the winner today, the gold medal, will either go to Vincent Luis or Alistair Brownlee. Those two might start to inject further pace into this 5K run shortly. Back through the field, those that were strong in the water, those that pushed hard with the front group on two wheels, are now starting to feel the pace. As we go back to the front, as Alistair Brownlee moves to Tony Dodds' his left and moves it up through the gears as well. Brownlee has made a statement. Brownlee leads on his own, and the only one to go with him at this stage is Salvesberg of Switzerland.
Very brave of Tony Dodds to do what he did, but did that just play into Alistair's hands? It certainly seems so at the moment.
In fact, Steve, it's a Larza of Spain who's gone with Alistair there.
So a Larza, who we thought, you know, just to reflect where he stands in the World Triathlon Series rankings, is just the man with that fantastic consistency, perhaps the opportunity. And then Brownlee puts in the afterburners for a second time. He's got away from Tony Dodds. Tony Dodds is now paying a huge price from the early pace that he said. Brownlee's gone, he's kicked again. At the moment, nobody can stay with him. He's going to be feeling confident. He's got the whole crowd behind him, and he is running like an absolute dream.
It's a 5,000 metres run in the park for Alistair Brownlee this afternoon, and he is putting in some electrifying pace here. Brownlee's in a league of his own. Look at him go. It's the first lap.
You can just sense the frustration. Just look at the faces on the chasers here. What do I have to do to stay with this guy? Poor Tony Dodds, he went for it, and credit to him for doing that. But what a price to pay. And even Alonso is looking back now, and it's as if to say, what do I do to deal with this man? Oh, wow, Luis of France, he's been there for a long, long time, one of the greatest athletes in the world. The second injection, bang, he's gone. Alistair Brownlee really is today, here in Hyde Park, in a world of his own.
Just listen to the noise. They've come out in force as they do every year. This is the most popular race on tour as far as spectator numbers are concerned. You don't get anywhere near this sort of number around the world. Hyde Park is a little special, and next year when they move north to Leeds in West Yorkshire, we'll expect even greater numbers in Alistair and Jonathan's home city.
We look at those forward shots, just going on to sideways now, and we know that the camera foreshortens to a great extent, and we're going to get a realistic, oh my goodness me, even with the foreshortening there, we can see what's happening. It's Alistair Brownlee in a world of his own. We've got 3 chasers looking for potentially the 2 other positions on the podium.
Just listen to the welcome he's getting halfway through the run.
And this is looking good. It certainly is.
So, the race within a race goes on behind Alistair Brownlee as Luis Larza battle it out for second right now with Ryan Bailey of Australia. Tony Dodds heading backwards. He was the first to strike the front, couldn't keep up the pace. Konings, Nieschlag of Germany.